Hello, everyone. Jen here. I had asked my community a couple weeks ago on YouTube if they were watching the new miniseries Shogun, and quite a few people said they'd like to hear my thoughts on the show. So I'll probably upload these little review videos on Fridays for the next couple weeks. This week we got 2 episodes. The first one was especially long, it was 70 minutes. However, I totally enjoyed what I saw. So I'd like to give my perspective as someone who has never read the book or the original adaptation from the 1980s. This review will contain mild spoilers. First of all, it's a very dark, mature setting for a story. The very filtering of the cinematography to make everything have a gray and blue tint gives the land of Japan a mysterious but melancholy look. There's a lot of shocking violence, but the worst stuff is actually done off-screen, and I feel like that made it even more impactful. There's quite a few scenes of torture, execution, and suicide, and frankly, they're very sad to watch. As a Ghost of Tsushima fan, I noticed that the game was very sensitive about suicide, and in general did not include much honor killing. But this show definitely depicts a culture obsessed with death and purpose and Bushido in the traditional sense, passed down from the Warring States period, the Sengoku period. So I had a lot of grief watching those scenes since that's not really my favorite part of Japanese culture. On the other hand, I loved how the Japanese and the various European characters were sharply contrasted with each other. They were calling each other barbarians, but in truth, both were rather cruel and barbaric to each other. And yet, at the same time, something noble is affirmed about them as well. It's really a story, I think, that will show many faces of honor and how a mutual respect must develop for the survival of each country's interests in the land of Japan. So far, Lord Toranaga, played by Hiroyuki Sanada, is probably my favorite character, and he might be for a lot of people. He's contrasted very well with his vicious counterparts, even his own vassal, Lord Yabushige. Lord Toranaga does not crave ultimate power or revel in cruelty as the other lords do, but has a higher sense of honor to do what's best for the country and preserve the former legacy of the Taiko. However, his good nature is balanced with wisdom and intuition, so that he's not vulnerable or naive, but rather he's very skilled in manipulation and deception in order to protect himself and those he cares about. The use of spies and secret messages through the Falcons seems to be his specialty. Lord Toranaga really is a lot like Lord Shimura, which made me very happy, who also had very similar personality traits and ways of using people for his own ends. Just saying, if Sony is going to find someone with experience with this kind of character, I can't really think of a better actor for the live-action movie at this point, except for Eric Steinberg himself. John Blackthorne, played by Cosmo Jarvis, is also an interesting character to me. It looks like he's set up to be a fish out of water and must learn the ways of the Japanese if he wants to survive. So far, he started out as pretty bitter and arrogant, but likely he will have a character turning at the end and have significant respect for the Japanese people. Already, he's hinting at a change of heart when he tries to learn their language, but it's also his own cunning personality that makes him want to survive at all costs. So he's definitely morally gray at this point, but every character has some grayness to them right now. Ultimately, his character will be defined by whether or not he does the right thing in the long run. That's my guess for the character arc for him. I also enjoyed Anna Sawai's performance of Lady Mariko in the show. I literally knew nothing about the story going in, so I was surprised at the religious undertones with the Catholic and Protestant conflict. With the religious tension end up being front and center here, I think Lady Mariko has a very unique role to play in the plot, so I look forward to seeing what happens with her. She's probably going to have a pretty deep inner conflict about if she will follow the Christian God or to serve her samurai master unconditionally. So there might be some personal sacrifices she has to make in order to get through what's to come. So far, the drama and intrigue are really fascinating to me. especially with the samurai lords all fearing for their lives first and foremost, and doing things to ensure their own survival, and even at the cost of the loyalties to each other. It sounds like there will be a lot of backstabbing in the future, and otherwise shrewd plotting and manipulation. And yet, at the same time, in episode 2, we have this escalation of the conflict to something a lot larger, a literal invasion of Japan by a foreign force. So, will the lords unite to protect their country from this existential threat of the Portuguese? Or will Lord Toranaga be the only one to take the threat seriously and survive? It could be a case of letting the aggressive ones duel it out, while the wise ones stay out of the conflict, surviving to the end. Or there may be tentative alliances in the short term with intents to betray each other at the end. Either way, I look forward to the next episode and the whole show to come. What did you guys think? Let's talk about this show in the comment section. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, although avoid spoilers for my sake, since this is my first time seeing the story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.